Hello, this is Mikey with Element Supply Company, here to show a quick overview of our new tool called Super Duper. What Super Duper is a dockable script panel that you can just stick in your user interface here in After Effects. Super simple, and there's 3 different functions. There is a button that creates a super slider, a super null, and a duper null, and I'll explain what all these do. So first off, we have an animated logo treatment kind of a thing where the text is flying in and there's some extra little things that go on. Anyways, let's just say we want to change the animation of this. There's a few ways you can do that now in After Effects, and they're not all that great. So one of the ways to do that is to pre-compose this whole thing, add a time remap, and then adjust the timing of it. That's one way we can do it, or we can take these and kind of hold down Option and adjust it that way. But what we have with that is we're kind of locked into the initial animation and the movements and the timing of it. We can make it shorter or longer, but there's still a lot more that we can't do. So I'm going to use the Super Duper script, and it's easy to just be able to take these keyframes. I'm going to highlight them, and when I hit that button, it's going to remap all of these keyframes to a new slider that you can then just adjust that slider to adjust the timing of everything. So let's hit that blue button, and what we have here is you can see there's that super slider. And what this slider does, you can see it goes from 0 all the way up to 100, 0 to 100, and as it goes across those values, it will animate this. Now what I can do is I can take those keyframes and I'm going to move them somewhere else. And what happens? Well, that animation doesn't start until that keyframe starts. Now I want to change the timing of it. Let's just move those keyframes closer together. And now it's much faster. We can also make it much slower. Let's go in, and now everything is just remapped perfectly. Another fun thing we can do is not only change the timing, but kind of the feel of it by adding different types of keyframes. We have now an ease to these. So let's say we want to overall change it. So look at that. It's a lot more ease coming in, and then it goes fast and slows down. So that kind of thing would be extremely hard to try to manipulate all of these existing keyframes to change that much of the animation. So let's go to the next example, which is to create a super null. And this is my favorite one, actually. And so how this works is we have the same title, but then we forgot, oh yeah, we have one more element we want to add to it. So now we have 2 different layers. And so the original super slider works on a single layer, and so that's quick and easy if you're doing some smaller stuff. But if you got something more complicated with multiple layers, then what you do is basically the same thing. And what you'll notice here that these keyframes aren't starting and stopping at the same time. They don't have to be perfect keyframes. They don't have to line up just perfectly. You just have to grab them. And I'm going to now hit this green, create a super null. And what this does is basically the same thing, but it connects everything to a single slider on a null object. And now we can have everything connecting multiple layers together, and we have all that same functionality that we did on the super slider is on this null now. Excellent. Now the last one is the duper null, and this is more of a special case scenario. But let's say I'm going to go into this. Look at this. We have all of this, all of these effects that are on the top level, but some of the stuff that isn't on top level is if we come into the text and we have all of this text here. We have these range and position sliders, but you have to drill down in to get it. So what I want to do is be able to have access to these, but without having to dive down into my text layer. Well, then I can hit this duper null, and it just will duplicate those parameters and stick it onto this sliders on this null. So now I have quick and easy access to those things and not have to dive deep down into the layer to find them. So that's the duper null. It duplicates those parameters and sticks it up on a null. So you have quick and easy access to it. Now, I wanted to show you one other thing that we can do that's kind of fun, is you can take something that's already animated and already has like a nice ease or a curve to it and just amplify that even more. For example, I'm animating the position of this element supply company line. And if we go into the graph editor, you can see there's a pretty heavy ease on that. But that's all I can do. I can't do it any further. And I want more. So we can take this and ease our ease. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. Let's hide the other. And let's change the anchor point so we can see them both. So this top one is the one that I'm going to be adding another super slider to. And we go into the effects and you can see I've got those there. And right now it looks the same because that's what it does. It just makes it look exactly the same. So, but I am going to change those keyframes to eased ones. And you can see that it's already starting to maybe we start with a normal keyframe, but then it eases. So what we can also do is come in to the graph editor, give it a really nice ease as well, and look how much just at the end it's just barely doing anything. It's just moving so slowly. That's a little intense though, right? So we can see the other keyframes from the other layer, this bottom layer. And if we go to about right here, let's say we want it to look roughly the same at the beginning. Well, I can just take this other keyframe, the second one, and pull it out so that now, oh, it's so beautiful. Silky smooth, extended easing as far as you can go. So that's super duper, brand new tool from Element Supply Company.